Live. Welcome to Usable Live. My name is Oliver.
My name is Julius.
And we are usable. So, first question is, what is usable? And if we take a look at the Usable Dev homepage, it says that usable remembers where the development teams forget. And the do you have a better explanation of what usable is?
Well, as it says, the developers forget. And it's more that the developer has we remember what we do and we like record it in our minds, but we are not always so good at documenting it and documenting the solutions we find because we will remember them next time.
So this has started because of AI, and AI is an opportunity and a challenge. And I guess we, in our development team, found out that there's so much speed, there's so
Yeah.
much knowledge floating around.
Yeah.
So we created this tool to do what?
Yeah, well, basically before the tool, we were getting on the bandwagon of vibe coding and we were developing ourselves and been using Cursor for like more than a year. And we were noticing that we were copying a lot of MDC files, rules files, and to get the LLMs to perform, basically, to have some kind of context and so on. So that's why we created first usable as an internal developer tool that was helping us alleviate that pain of like continuously moving around these MDC files and rules files. But we were quickly figuring out that this was definitely something that a lot of people are getting, so the same issue that we were running into, and that's why we created Usable as a service where all developers and everyone can uh, benefit from this.
And the beauty of it is that it plugs directly into the agent loop, so that
Yeah.
every time the agent is looking for knowledge, it can be set up to check usable. And every
Yes.
time the agent learns something new, the agent can capture that knowledge and send it to usable.
Yeah.
Cool. So on the screen, we can see the homepage and usable.dev and usable, the usable interface. You in the top left-hand corner, you can see we're now at the version 0.91.0. So what is new?
Yeah, so we've changed a bit around it after feedback from some of our users. Is that it's kind of the prompt we were creating was quite large to instruct the LLM on how to use usable, when to use it, and when to document things and how to search. And it had a large list of tools that we are slowly going to be sunsetting in favor of a simpler interface for the LLM. And so the major changes we did was the prompt was 400 to 500 lines of text down to 60 lines of text. That's including the workspace information. So what memory fragments there are in the workspace and what the workspace is for. So this is like the default workspace. So if your token has access to multiple workspaces, you can still, the LLM still has access to those. But you have like a default workspace so that if you don't mention it, the LLM will automatically pick the default one. And this meant that we also made a change to the MCP CLI that we have, where you actually, when you run the init command, it now has like a section rather than the whole file. So for example, if you use agents.md, we were beforehand replacing the whole file. So that's like something that many developers don't like because you usually have your own way of instructing your LLM to do things and a certain way of doing things, and we don't want to interrupt that. So now it's purely a section that the init command will maintain. So it will make sure that that section is appended to your agents file, for example, and it will make sure that if you run the command again, it will just update it.
So here we have the agents MD file.
Yes,
As
and
you say 60 lines, 58 lines.
yes, and that's including the fencing and the workspace information. And this just instructs the LLM to give them a bit more context of, okay, when do I search? When do I create new things? What do I need to pay attention to, and what the loop should be? And the rest of the information is actually moved to the tools.
Fantastic. So where can we find that or that has been moved into the definition of the tools?
Yeah, so the problem with having a large prompt is that during these long conversations with LLM, the LLM forgets the system prompt in most cases. But the tools, that's the during each loop, it gets the tools, and that's cached.
Yeah.
So it has a description of that. So that's permanently within like the grasp of the LLM.
Yeah.
So that's why we moved it to the tools to benefit from that. And those, if you go to like cursor settings in that screen you're having, and then you expand the tools there with the usable. So just expand the 14 tools. Yeah. And then hover over, for example, agentic search.
Agentic search is here.
Yeah, and you can see that's the description. That's what the LLM gets.
Yes.
So that's where we moved the instruction.
Cool. So it's not in the agents.md file or in any rules file or anything. No. So it has been like internalized in usable.
And this also means that you don't actually have to have the system prompt. It just primes it a bit better.
Yeah.
But if you have something like Codex, which is very good at following instructions for GPT-5 Codex, for example, you actually don't need the prompt. You can do all of it through the tools.
And this is just a helper, and as you mentioned,
it just aligns it a bit better with how.
And here we have one workspace, but in principle, you can have access to multiple workspaces.
And you can modify that as you want.
Yes. So while you were speaking, I was running this command here, npx usable dev init, and when I was doing that, up until recently, the agents.md was overwritten, so that has changed now. Yeah.
So now it's just that fenced area. So if you scroll to the top of that file, you can see that it's like a fence or a tag that says, okay, we start here, we end.
System from start and end.
Yeah, and that's the content within that one are the ones that are going to be replaced if you run that again.
Yeah.
But any changes you made outside of that, for example, if you have custom instructions and all of that, those stay intact.
So this means that for a developer, it's much more flexible with the agents.md file now.
Yeah.
Very good. So the question is, how does the agentic search work then?
Yeah, so we've added like the beforehand, it was like we left it to the LLM to choose how do you search. We had like search memory fragment, we had explore graph and all of that. But that meant that if you were running a bit smaller models, you were going to have issues with it because the reasoning is required to actually be to know how to use those tools. Even though they're in the description, it still requires the LLM to know and to be able to reason quite heavily. And it relies more on the system prompt and saying, okay, this is how you search, this is the sequence and all of that. With agentic search, that's basically been internalized. So you just give it a query, you give it an intent, okay, what you're trying to do. Are you trying to do like a quick search or a deep search or whatever you're trying to do? And then the agentic search will do all that for you in iterations. So it's an internal agentic loop that first searches, then finds things. And if it doesn't find sufficiently enough information with high enough confidence, it will actually rephrase things and try to search different ways and then do a graph exploration and all of that on its own.
Yeah. So that is what is in this agentic search fragments tool. And if we go to the usable interface here, that is also what's happening up here in the global search.
No, the semantic search there, if you click on that, that's purely the search fragment. Yeah. It does not like explore the graph or anything like that.
But can you do the agentic search inside the usable search interface here, or
No, that's
you have
purely
to
on the
you have to
MCP.
connect through
Yeah.
the MCP. Okay.
Yeah.
So is that something that's coming up?
Yes, we'll definitely add that to this one, but it's more like it's like that. That's for when you're doing deep research on what information is available. For example, if you're starting a task and then you ask it to like scaffold me a Next.js project, or I add this feature,
Yep.
then the LLM can actually do a more foundational search. Okay, you're asking for Next.js. What are some of the problems we've hit that we've already solved, so it doesn't do that?
Yep.
Like repeat the process and gets a more accurate result.
So while we're at it, so we have the memory fragments here, and I can click view all to list all the memory fragments here, and there are many in this workspace alone. But there is a knowledge graph here. We've looked at it in the past, but can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so if you go to the, you should actually go to the flow core workspace for that.
Yeah. So I'll do that. So if I go to the flow core workspace,
yeah, then you can just,
and I can see that.
Yeah, now if you click on knowledge graph there, you'll get a different picture because this workspace has been, this is a pro workspace. So the owner of this workspace is a pro user. Yep. So pro users can enable what's called advanced knowledge graph on the workspaces. And this will try to extract concepts as well as if the relations are between the different fragments. Yep. So this gives the LLM a bit more context on, okay, do I find something that's related to this? Are similar fragments there? Are there concepts that this references that other reference as well?
So you have one fragment here recently added, preventing Stripe subscription errors of some kind.
Yeah, and then this, you can see here that there's a related one there.
Yeah.
And those basically, if you click on the line between them, you can add them and expand the graph, and you can see the concepts that are, show connection labels, for example, and you can see that it's related, similar to, and references concept and all of that. So if you click on the similar to, for example, you can see if you close the dialog there, if you scroll down, you can see that the reason why there's why they're similar, right?
So both fragments address Stripe subscription payment states.
Yeah, and this is what the LLM can.
Everything here is done automatically.
Yes.
And this graph is in addition to the vector.
Yes, it just enhances the results. And this is what the agentic search will do. It will try to extract more information and try to give you a better foundation. And this, together with the changes of the having the tool description say how it's used, this will instruct the LLM to actually do the search first. For example, now, if you ask it to start at the task, it will first try to do a search and see what it has.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So what's next for usable? What's on the roadmap?
So we're working on, for example, structured data. That's something we're working on so that you can have like in these memory fragments that you can have actual data tables there that have structured data in them. So they will be better for things like when you have a task system, for example. Give me all the tasks. That's better if it's structured versus unstructured, and things like that. And then we have better control of like you can more safely just ask the LLM to update things. And then you can we will have an approval system inside where you can have like a saying, okay, this is like critical information, so this is like a standard rather than like a normal fragment. So the LLM will prioritize that over other.
We talked also about fragment status. Yeah. So that some fragments are just drafts, and some are approved and some are elevated, or And if you have other ideas for improvements, please reach out to us. I think the best place is still Discord. So join our Discord and engage.
Yeah.
So do you have anything to add?
No.
I think then it's time to wrap up and say, now you should go out there and make something usable. Thank you.
Thank you.